Hang on a second, just fixing this. Just trying to sort this out, guys. If I can remove this. Not sure I can. Oops. Hang on a second. Oh, good grief. Why is this not? Won't remove it. This is good, isn't it? Okay. Yeah, they did. I'm sorry about that. I'm trying to bring down the video now, but unfortunately it doesn't seem like it wants to do that. Yeah, so as you guys know, our Queen has passed. The word went to Parliament at 4:30 yesterday afternoon. Click on it. Yeah, that kind of made it worse. No. Oh, there we go. There we go. Yeah. So yesterday afternoon at 4:30, our Queen, the official message went to Parliament yesterday, to the Cabinet Office, and at 6:30 we were all informed publicly. The announcement was made that the Queen had passed, which is incredibly sad for many of us. And I think a lot of us are still in shock, as much as she was 96. We kind of thought she was going to go on forever, and I know there was a few of us who were wondering if she was going to be able to send herself her own letter in 4 years' time, but unfortunately that question has now been answered. For me personally, I wanted to do this live. I wanted to give other people the opportunity to come up if they had any memories and stories to tell of their own experiences or how they're feeling, etc. at this time. But I'm just going to start off by sharing my story. Now, hey Seeker, hi prepping for heaven. Harry Back to Nature, Kettle Kitchen. Janine, how are you, darling? Yeah, so my story began with my dad. I don't normally share a lot of information about my family, but my father served in the Royal Australian Air Force, and he was a navigator during World War II. Yeah. Hey, Ram. How are you, darling? He ended his career when I was 4. He, at that point, was one of the Assistant Secretaries for Defence in Australia, which meant that he was entitled to things like, the Queen's Garden Party, etc., which I went to when I was 4 years old. And when I was 4, I got myself lost because there's a lot of people at the garden parties. And I ended up bumping into a very nice lady who held my hand and fed me cakes and took me back to my dad. helped me find my dad. And later on, I was to find out that it was Her Majesty herself. Yeah. So that was my very first encounter with Her Majesty. I had no idea really. I was 4, but she'd looked after me herself. She didn't hand me off to anybody else. She looked after me herself. And that to me says more about the person that she was than anything else. Roll on to 2002, and I'm working as the head chef at St. George's School in Windsor. Now, for those of you who don't know, St. George's Chapel is the chapel of Windsor, and St. George's School is part of Windsor Castle. The borders at the school are the choir that you see at any kind of event that occurs. Hang on a second. Sorry, guys, I'm getting blinded. It's quite nice to be blinded by the sun, but yeah, not in the eyeball. So yeah, I was the head chef there for a good year. And during that time, I met Her Majesty and Prince Philip and other members of the royal family several times, as we had to put on afternoon teas and other events. We had to cater for those. Although Windsor Castle has its own catering squad, we also were part of that on the occasions that it was needed. And at one point, I had a royal summons to the castle, and I was like, "Uh-oh, what have we done?" You always get worried that you've done something seriously wrong when you go up there and there's no real explanation at all. And so I went up, and as it was Her Majesty wanted to see me in the kitchens because she wanted me to teach her how to make Greek coconut cake. Because she had very much enjoyed it, as had her husband and other members, and she wanted to be able to make it herself. What surprised me the most on that encounter was her first words to me. And that was, "Why, Miss Greenhill, haven't you grown?" I was in shock. I didn't know what to say or how to react, because I honestly, I didn't very much remember much about the encounter with her. But she reminded me of the encounter. I'm not entirely convinced she remembered me. I think that I had, because when you go to work for St. George's, you have full security protocols that are you have to go through before you can go and work for them, because obviously you have to be a non-security risk. And it's quite possible that they put 2 and 2 together and realized who I was. So it's quite possible she did remember me, because obviously things like that don't happen every year. But it's quite possible that they'd all put the 2 and 2 together and realized who I was at that point as well, which is either way, it was a beautiful moment, and it was a wonderful afternoon. It was a wonderful 3 hours that I actually spent with Her Majesty when she was off duty and not putting on a mask and just being her. And I don't think many people get to see that side of her. And we had very good conversations about all kinds of things, and it was beautiful. It was one of the things that I will always remember for the rest of my life, because who wouldn't? You know. Hey HG. You know, she made, I think what a lot of people don't realize is that she was a human being. They all saw her as the queen, and thought that she was always a certain way, but they forgot the part where she was actually a human being. And that was the side that I got to see, which helped me to remember during the years past that she was a human being and she had feelings and she had a personality of her own that not many people got to see. And I was privileged enough for a few hours that day to actually witness her off-duty self. And she's a very funny woman. Incredibly funny woman, and just a beautiful soul. I know she receives a lot of criticism, but I know that she is also very, very dearly loved, and she is very, very dearly loved by me. I've been fighting for the last 24 hours with myself and my feelings and the way that some people have reacted to the news. I've actually removed people that have been in my life for several years, including over 10 years, 15 years, because of the way that they have reacted on social media to her passing. Because at the end of the day, she was a human being. She was someone's mum. She was someone's grandma. She was someone's great-grandma. She was someone's wife, someone's sister, someone's cousin, someone's friend, you know. And she was a 96-year-old woman who worked to the day of her death. She made a vow at the beginning. Hi, Ashley. She made a vow at the beginning to do her duty until the day of her passing. And she did that. If nothing else, she did that. And you could say, well, yes, she could have stood down and all of this kind of thing. But you know what? She made a vow. And she stood by that vow. And she did everything that was expected of her. Everything that was expected of her. And she was born into a world that we cannot understand. There is no understanding of the world that she was born into. And there's no understanding of the grief and anxiety that her uncle's abdication caused to her family and her father and herself. You know, I'd had a conversation with a friend earlier today saying, you know, do you think, you know, would it be such a bad thing if, you know, the line didn't go the way it was supposed to go? And I said, well, you know, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't. You know, at the end of the day. But I'm not here really to discuss that. I'm here to give you guys space. I'm here to give you space. I'm here to have space for myself. I'm here to give space in a loving and respectful manner. And if anybody wants the link to come up and speak their truth when it comes to this, as long as it's done in a loving and respectful manner, I'm more than happy to give you the link to pop up. You're more than welcome. Everyone is welcome. If this is what you would like. Oh, we have someone in the green room. Oh, look out. Is he coming? Look out. Hello.
Hello, my friend. How are you today? Hopefully a little better.
Oh, I'm doing all right. My slideshow I did earlier kind of, it took me a minute. You know,
Luna!
took me a minute because
I'm on
while I
live,
was
sorry,
making
we got,
it,
dog.
yeah, while I was making it, I had to obviously watch it before I put it out, and yeah, it got me. I'm not gonna lie, it got me. So it took
I
me a
get
few
that.
minutes
I get that.
I know I was a little late coming on, and I apologize for that. But yeah, I was a bit of a blubbering mess at that minute. So I didn't want to start stream being a blubbering mess.
I got it. I have internet issues, so I apologize if that causes a problem somewhere. But as of right now, we're working. So okay.
We've got some
So
comments.
one of the things. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Prepping for Heaven has just said people don't realize how hard it is for the royal family. People think it's all glitz and glamour, but it's really not. No, it's really not. It is lifetime public service. Absolutely. It is a commitment. It is absolutely a commitment, and people don't realize that. They don't realize just the restrictions that they have in their everyday life and what they are allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do, you know. And it's in a lot of ways, it's, you know, it's very difficult. You know, the army, the services have got nothing on what these people have to live with, you know.
No.
Thanks, HG. Take care, my love.
If I could offer a little info, I would love to. So, except now I got a loud motorcycle going by, so bear with me. Sorry.
That's okay. Hi, Teresa. Welcome, my darling.
So what I was going to say is this, you know, and I think this applies to a lot of people who are associated to those that are in your position like you and I are. That's what I'm trying to refer to, okay? I'm in America. I'm not in the UK. You are. You're experiencing it. The best thing I could correlate this to in as recent history as possible for us would have been when JFK was assassinated. Okay.
Yes.
This country was devastated when that happened.
Yeah.
And up to that point, it was most recent day experience or something like that. Well, for you guys, you haven't had this happen for 70 years. This is something most people your age and my age have never experienced.
No.
She is the only monarch I have known. I mean, yes, there are others, but not to the magnitude she is, what she did, what she was a part of. And the historical value she provided to me, who's somebody that's not affected directly by her policies, it is a big thing for me. So I can only imagine what it's like for you guys.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it, at the beginning of last century, there were we went through in the first 30 years, we went through 4 monarchs.
Right.
You know, so it was kind of a thing where people had experienced that, you know.
Right.
Whereas in pretty much everybody's lifetime now, unless they're over 70 years of age, this is the only monarch we've ever had. This is the only head of state for the Commonwealth we've ever had. And I think people don't quite realize the hugeness that this is. I think some people do. Some do. Some are getting it. I think there are others that are, you know, really just go, oh, well, you know, it is what it is. And that's fine. And that's them. And Tanny is one of them. He's like, well, you know, I didn't know her. You know, yes, she was the queen, but I didn't know her. And I get that side of it as well. You know,
there's a realism to that side of it. I get that.
There is. Yeah.
I think for me personally, I know I'm not the only one, but I gotta say it this way because it's how I correlate to it. I'm about the most knowledgeable American there is in my world that knows about royalty. And to me, I have followed it because it's something that, to my knowledge, as best I can, we've not had something like that here in the United States. So it's
Yeah.
interesting, it's intriguing. I followed it, I have followed it. And when you take a person like her who has spent, she really was just a child coming into adulthood, that has spent
Yes.
the rest of her life in this office doing this every single day for the last 70 years. That's a mind-blowing thought process for me.
Yeah. It is. Especially when she wasn't brought up to be queen because she wasn't expected to be.
No.
You know?
Right.
That
Right.
process didn't start at birth where it did for, say, for Charles. That process had started from birth because there were certain things that had to be done to get him ready for that. So, you know, she's someone who was able to have the freedom of being a child, although royalty, without realizing, you know, just the gravity of the situation.
Right. Give me 1 second. I have to take care of
That's
that.
okay. I'll go through some of this. Okay. I was in 6th grade when JFK died. I was devastated. Yeah, I get that, darling. It's 14. When she visited Toronto, I was in 8th grade. My teacher took us to see her. Loved it. Fantastic. She was your queen as well. Absolutely, she was. She was. Absolutely. And I'm not trying to take away from that. Like I said, this is a space for everyone who wants to be a part of this. You know, it's not, I'm not trying to take away from anybody else's grief at all. What I'm trying to do is put a safe space for people if they want to share, if they've got experiences they want to share and want to come up and you know, share those, then they're welcome to do so. So yeah, as long as it's done with love and respect, because that's all I'm asking. You know, that's all I'm asking. But I wanted people to have that safe space. No, I know, darling. It's fine. It's all good.
You know, for you.
Yeah. Is that the puppies? Is that the puppies?
It's the neighbor's dog. It was a lady that walked by with her 2 dogs, and of course all the other dogs go crazy. And the puppies in the back, you can hear them yapping, and that's the neighbor's dog. And it's like, of course, it's Lifetime. Why would nothing else happen?
Do you know what? It's not inappropriate. I mean, the woman loved her dogs. Let's just say that. She adored her dogs, and she didn't just have corgis. She was very famous for her.
They do.
But she also had her other dogs that were in Balmoral, and they were working dogs. You know? So, yeah. You okay? Oh, look out. You're back?
I think part of the thing too that makes it hard for those that did not have to live with the importance or significance of her role. I think part of the other issue is the mysteriousness behind her, the family, the entity, what was the word we talked about last night? The mechanism, you know, when you don't know all the rules and you don't know all the guidelines and the regulations and the, you know, this, that's, and the others. And you made a valid point to me last night when I was reeling that through my brain. She was a human being, and at some point they're entitled to privacy. There are some things we are never going to know, nor would we know. But that also adds to the mysteriousness of it because you don't know everything. And a lot of their life is in the public eye. So it's a hard balance, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a hard balance. And she was one monarch that actually tried to make sure that she did have time off because she saw what it did to her father. And he never took his own time and he never did the things that he loved. He stopped doing the things that he loved when he became the king. And, you know, he wasn't king for a very long time because obviously he passed away as well while she was on her honeymoon to Kenya or on the royal tour, which was her honeymoon, but just happened that, you know, she was in Kenya at the time. So, you know, but she saw what that did to him and she made sure that she kept up with her interests and her personal interests and had her time out and went to the places that gave her joy and happiness and peace, you know. And I completely understand why you would want to do that, you know, because if it's all work and you're on display 24 hours a day and there is nothing else, then it will eventually kill you.
It will.
Yeah.
I think what impressed me, okay, aside from the iconicness of her and the point that it's something we don't have, so it makes it intriguing. When you start thinking of that aspect, what you were just speaking of, I think she's seen that happen to her dad, and she assumed that was part of the problem. And she figured out how to not let that be the issue for her. Because you can't be a monarch for 70 years and not have adjusted something to make life not as hard as it can be physically, emotionally, and all of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I mean, she did get a lot of criticism for going away a lot and things like that. And, you know, but, you know, everybody else gets to have a holiday. Why can't she? Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
You know, even if you're going away for a weekend or a week or whatever, yes, she has a lot more people to move when she does. But, you know, that's all part of it as well and part of the life that she was born into. So as much as it's more of a logistical nightmare for her to do that, it's still what's necessary for her, you know. And I think her time, she loved being at Balmoral and you know, having that time to be out in nature and to run around in jeeps and, you know, Range Rovers and such. Oh, sorry, Land Rovers. Because they were Land Rovers. They weren't Range Rovers. They were the real deal.
No, they weren't.
You know, and, you know, she'd break down and she'd remind, you know, her staff, you do know that I was a mechanic in the war, don't you? You know, that kind of thing, and reminding them that that's what she did during the war. She drove trucks and she fixed them.
See, and I think that's also something that I found intriguing about her as I learned about her more and more. She wasn't just somebody who was on a pedestal that sat in a silver high chair that got a silver spoon. She actually did things. She was a normal person as much as she could be, and she gave her part too. So just to assume that she was a spoiled brat who became a queen is way, way offline and off base because it's farthest from the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So. Welcome back, Ashley. She was a very tough lady. She went through a lot of things. A lot of things in her lifetime and a lot of things that were behind closed doors. Obviously, there was a lot of the closed doors stuff that became public, and that's, you know, that's part and parcel of being who she was, you know. I think for any of us who, you know, that's as little YouTubers, and we are very small YouTubers, we don't see that, but come to the point where we're at 20,000, 100,000, 300,000 and more subscribers, you start seeing a bit more of that and what that's like. I had a small taste of that back in 2008 when I became Queensland Home Cook of the Year for Good Food magazine. And I was literally followed around while I was doing my shopping with my children because I was in 4 magazines on the bounce. I was on the television, that kind of thing. So,
right.
You know, I've had a small peek at that. You know, so you do see it. And the other thing is that people don't realize there is an entire book of what you are allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. When you beat the Queen, and you were given it 24 hours beforehand, and you have to know it word for word. It's about that thick. It's only a small little pockety book like this, but it's what to call people, how to pronounce things. You know, it's like mum as in harm, not ma'am as in ham. That's actually written in there on one of the pages of how to address it.
I love it.
And you know what they're allowed to eat, what they're not allowed to eat, what you're allowed to serve them, what they're not allowed to have, what you're allowed to wear, what colors, what fabric. Well, it's not quite what fabrics, but it's you know, if you're in uniform, it has to be a certain way. If you're doing it this way, it has to be a certain way. You know, if you're a woman, there are certain ways you are to dress. There are certain, you know, parts of your body that have to be covered, you know, and, you know, there's ways of saying things that you're allowed to do and ways you're not allowed to do it. And everything down to how, you know, the books. I mean, that's only if you're visiting with the Queen. If you're, you know, if you're,
heaven forbid you might ever stay overnight.
You know, that's only if you're visiting, and it's like, well, you can only eat while the Queen eats. You know, so if the Queen is eating, then you can eat. If she stops eating, you stop. And if she doesn't want the next course, guess what? You're not getting it either.
There's no next course.
So yeah, and that's
I heard one time that actually was the wait staff's cue, was whether or not she liked who she was entertaining or the party she wanted to be at was based on the number of courses they served and if they ever got to dessert and tea.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that included formal functions
I
with
think
50 to 100 people at. You know,
that's what I'm referring to, you know, hundreds of people sitting out there. And she's like, no, I'm done. It's ready. Nobody's getting it tonight.
I'm over you lot. See you, bye.
Yeah. I think the only thing I did not like about Queen Elizabeth, and here's the honesty of it, and I'm just throwing this out there, okay? As a cook, not eating garlic would offend me.
Yeah, see, they're not even allowed to eat shellfish or seafood, really.
But that's more because of a presentation when you're speaking to people, isn't that?
Absolutely, and the garlic is exactly the same thing as well.
Right.
You know, we don't know if she had garlic off behind closed doors.
Right.
But at formal functions,
I was under the impression Right. I was under the impression she did not like garlic where Philip did. And so that was always a struggle in the house.
It's possible. I don't know. I wasn't there. I mean, it's great for royal followers to
kind of
think
you
they
were
know these things. But you have to remember as well, you're only given the information as it's allowed to come out. Or as staff members break their vow of silence. Now, I'm able to say about my experience with her, but I'm not going into detail with it because I can't and I won't. And that's my, my personal experience. But I can't explain, I can't go into the levels of our conversation. I can't, yes, I can say how she greeted me, sure. And it's a great thing, and I loved it, and it made my day. I'm not gonna lie. But I can't go into the other conversations that we had because it's between her and I. Oh, he's gone. Look out. Okay. All right. All good. He did say that he was having internet issues. So while Tony is down, I thought that it'd be nice to go through some of her quotes, her well-known quotes. Now, one that I have always loved is, "It's worth remembering that it's often the small steps, not the giant leaps, that bring about the most lasting change." That's there's a lot of quotes, and I'm going to cherry pick a few. It's always been easy to hate and destroy. To build and to cherish is much more difficult. Sorry, some of these I don't feel like I can get through if I read, so I'm going to again everyone is our neighbor, no matter what race, creed, or color. Religion and culture are much in the news these days, usually as sources of difference and conflict, rather than for bringing people together. But the irony is that every religion has something to say about tolerance and respecting others. Yeah. Hi, Laura. How are you, darling? Ooh, here we go. He's back. Woo!
Sorry.
Hello. That's okay.
Told you I was having internet issues.
Yeah. I've got a list of about 100 quotes, and I'm trying to. I thought, while you're down, I'd fill in the space.
Well, good.
Yeah.
I allowed you the opportunity to
You
say
did.
something.
You did. I hope I didn't leave you in the green room too long. I was on a different.
No, I heard you were reading, so you're fine. I'm not an impatient person unless I'm sitting there for an hour. Then that might be a different conversation.
No. I wouldn't leave you sitting there for an hour. It does look like a better connection.
It is. It's on my phone instead of my computer, so it's a lot stronger. So
yeah. Oh, I really love this one. I'm just gonna. When life seems hard, the courageous do not lie down and accept defeat. Instead, they are all the more determined to struggle for a better future. And to be honest, with everything that's going on right now, I think that's very poignant.
Yes, I agree. I think, one thing I want to stress, at least from my perspective and my point of view, when you get to a point and you realize whether it's direct or indirect connection you have to somebody or something, that thing or that somebody becomes a part of your life. Whether you want it to or not, it is a part of your life. And when something like this happens, you have the same connection as you do with a loved one when it's a loss or a defeat or something of that nature. So
Absolutely.
all of us in our own rights, in our own situations, in our own countries, our own politics, our own whatever, this kind of thing will affect all of us equally, even though it may be different. And so when I made the comment earlier is that the best correlation I have to this is when JFK was assassinated, and somebody even made that comment in the comments.
Yeah.
That's the same feeling you guys are having right now. And it's expected
Absolutely.
that there would be a loss, because for you guys specifically in the crisis of energy you guys are dealing with, the changeover of prime minister, now you have a new king. Things are, you know, theoretically up in the air as to how
Absolutely.
this is all going to go. And so my whole point I'm trying to make is that it's not necessarily just a loss. It's a drastic change that has now come about that you guys have to deal with. So you guys got that going on in your heads as well. So that's all I wanted to say in that. Yeah.
So at the moment we are in what is known as it's Project London Bridge, which means that in the next couple of days the Queen will be brought to Westminster Hall, where she will lie in state for 4 days before her funeral in 10. So who will stand guard over her, we don't know. Sorry. it's the
Don't be sorry. My sister, you are showing true emotion, and for it to affect you this way, that means it holds a place in your heart. It does.
It does. And
I get it.
Oh, sorry, guys.
Just so everybody understands, this is a process that has been, the Queen was very much a part of what Blue is talking about. Project London Bridge was the set out of what would happen if, in fact, this day did come, which it has, unfortunately. But it's a process of where she'll go, where she'll be taken to, how long she'll lay there, when the funeral will be, everything. And we're talking about things so drastic, and people don't realize new chest. I'm talking about the emblem chest for those that don't know what I'm talking about. New flags, locations. You have money that has to be changed. All your currency will change over at some point in time.
Yes, it will.
And that's not just in London. That's for the whole Commonwealth that will change at some point. So it's a drastic, long process that was well thought out. She was very much a part of, but it is something that has to play out per those parameters.
Yeah. Oh, I was around 7 years of age when, as a brownie, which is kind of like your Girl Scouts,
right?
We lined part of her route. She asked why I was the only one wearing a coat, and I was told I was recovering from scarlet fever. Oh, darling, that's so sweet. Even though she was not my queen as an American, I've always felt a connection to her. I don't know why. It's because she's always been there. She's always been on our TV. Right. She's always been, just always been, you know.
Well, and I think for us here in America, because this was so if you go back into the 50s through the 70s and 80s, even today it still continues, but theoretically you'll get where I'm going with this. Women were not in power in this country. And to see a woman of long-standing strength and power was unusual for us. And so I think naturally people started looking that direction for her to be that representation of, see, a woman can do it. Now, even though it wasn't by choice, it's what had to happen.
she still did it, and she did it quite well as a leader.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Absolutely. Very touching to see children laying flowers at Windsor. Yes. She sent best wishes through one of her entourage. See, she's a human being.
yeah,
I don't care what anyone says about her. She was, you know, she was a human being. Can't pay anything in cash without seeing her. Absolutely. That's the thing, isn't it? It's all going to change. The stamps are going to change. I had a friend who ran out yesterday to go and buy stamps.
yep,
Because in all of
yep,
our stamps, if it's not her, just her on a small stamp, on the bigger stamps with the pictures, there's still a little emblem in the corner.
right.
That's her. You know, and now there won't be any of those in 3 months' time.
No. Yeah, if
You know,
you're a
there won't be any of
collector,
those in 3 months' time.
now would be the time to grab them before they disappear, because it will happen. I mean, in all honesty.
Yeah. Our stamps too, exactly, because you're part of the Commonwealth.
Yep.
Right? I think that's another thing. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
A lot of people don't realise that there were only 7 countries in the Commonwealth when she became queen.
Yep.
Now there's
Yep.
like 50 odd.
56, actually.
56.
There's
You know,
15.
she was integral to all of that.
There are 15 realms within the Commonwealth. I found that out last night. I did not know that until I researched it for my little thing I did. So,
yeah.
But you are right. I mean, and that's something that's been discussed as well. When she started, there were 7 countries in the Commonwealth.
Yes.
Now there's 56, 15 realms. Yeah. That's gigantic when you look at it that way.
Absolutely. All right, Ashley. Thank you for being here, darling.
Bye, Ashley.
You're Monica's at heart. There's nothing wrong with that. Your opinion is your opinion, darling, and that's all, you know, that matters.
Yep.
It will really hit us. Yeah, it will. It will hit everybody, darling. And it is hitting everybody. And that was why I wanted to do this today, because I wanted to give people space, whether they wanted to talk and chat or to come up here on panel. Like I said, if anyone wants to come up on panel and say what they want to say, as long as it's done with love and respect, I'm more than happy to give them the link.
Yeah. As I said in my thing, and I'll throw this out there, and you can disagree with it or not. I don't care if you like her policies. I don't care if you liked her. The point is, it's still loss of a monarchy, and it's a change in what is about to happen, and somebody that's been affected into your guys' lives as well as ours, even though it's different. That is a respect level all of us should give all of the members of the Commonwealth, or anybody else who would like to have that space as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hang on, I have a cat. Hello, darling. What's up? What? You coming out? Come here.
She wants to be a part of the show.
She does. Hello, darling. Yeah. She's not very well either.
Yeah.
I have to say, her voice has changed. I don't know if you've noticed.
I did, actually. I was going to talk to you about that last night, because I noticed it, not last night, but the time before we talked, and it was like, something's different about her.
Yeah, it's her voice. It's gone down. And that will be because of the amount of coughing that she does due to her being a carrier of cat flu.
Right.
Her coughing's got worse. So, you know, hey, darling. Hey. All right, sweetheart. We'll give her cuddles as well. Well, we have, whoops, or maybe she doesn't want to. You done? Okay. Go on then. Off you go. Right. It's been a bit of a few days, let's just say. Yep. I have to admit that, you know, when I was in the hospital on Monday, and I was waiting to go through to A&E. We were all sitting in a corridor, which is a waiting space. And the ambulance guys were talking. Some of them were from up north, closer to Scotland, and saying, you know, that she was very unwell, and it was they had been the brigade in Scotland had been told that, you know, it wasn't she may not live the week, but none of us, that was never made a public thing.
Right.
You know, so, you know, I never thought anything of it, because obviously I wasn't well enough to be really on the ball, but
Right.
that's, you know.
I actually had
That's
thought
funny.
this through, just so you know. I had thought this through, and based on what I did know,
Oh.
we kept hearing that she had passed in the afternoon, and I remember seeing a news thing that it said that she was not doing well. A doctor was by her side,
Yeah.
and the family was rushing up there. At that point, I knew something wasn't right. Me and you have talked about this, but when I went back and thought about it, she probably had passed away earlier on, and they were just waiting for the family to get there. And again, I'm just assuming, so none of this is official or,
Well,
you know, right.
It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I think, when Lindsay Hoyle at the house announced that
Right.
she was unwell and
Right.
that she was under medical supervision, but she was
Right.
comfortable. Now, he's the Speaker of the House.
Right.
That was at 3 o'clock. At 4:30, we know that the
Jasper pudding face.
the cabinet secretary took the news to the Prime Minister,
Right,
and that the news was made public 2 hours later. So yeah, that's what we do know. So 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we were informed that the family was being moved up in that direction.
Yeah.
Very quickly. The fact that the changing of the guard was cancelled, that's not ever happened in the history of my life that I know of.
And I looked that up. That only happens in very specific situations, this being one of them.
Yes. But I think for a lot of people, it happened very quickly and they weren't expecting it, especially the fact that she had, I mean, I had suspicions because she didn't come down to Buckingham Palace 2 days earlier to receive the resignation and the acceptance of the new Prime Minister. So, yeah, Janine, I'm fast running out of tissues. I'm going to have to hit the Andrews in a minute, I think, and just get a bog roll, because that's all I've got left.
And I think what Seek-R just said demonstrates exactly the loyalty she had to public service. She still carried on her job. That is what she was to do. It wasn't in the traditional, but it still carried out the way it needed to be carried out.
See, this is the thing. I think people don't understand that she made a vow, and that vow was everything to her. And she made the vow to work to the day she died in service to people.
When you and I talked last night, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. This is an example of exactly carrying out what she set out to do from the day she took it till the day she died. So
yeah. Seeker, you're right. It says much for the sense of duty she exhibited while in ill health, welcoming Liz Truss as the new Prime Minister. Yep. Exactly. And if you see the pictures of that and you know what you're looking at, you can see that, you know, they had to work hard to get her on her feet to be able to do that, because her hands, her neck were all showing signs of organ failure, and her body shutting down, and the blood just not getting to her fingers, and, you know, many in this world could learn from her making and keeping an oath. Yes, they could. Absolutely, they could. Yep. Yes, I absolutely agree with you, darling. People now seem to think that a vow doesn't mean anything, but a vow is a vow is a vow. And
Right.
if you break that, then that's like, I can't do that, you know,
No.
which is why I didn't get divorced for 10 years after we separated, because I couldn't break my vow. I'd made a vow.
I get that.
Do you know what I mean? I'd made
I
a vow.
do know what you mean.
couldn't
I
break
struggled
it.
with that myself, so I get what you mean. Yep.
So even though 3 years, you know, we probably 10 years after we'd separated, we were still officially married because I couldn't do it.
I think I recall asking you the question last night, and maybe I didn't. I don't remember, but there's a part of me that, and again, my speculation, so take it for that. There's a part of me that can't get away from the thought that she died partially from a broken heart. Now, hear me out on that,
I
because
agree with you. I'm not going to lie.
yeah, because it was within a short amount of time, theoretically, from when Philip passed away. He, as much as they may have had their internal issues going through life, they were very much an integral part of each other's life. And when you lose part of that, I don't know. I just, my think and my thought and my watch, it just feels like that's partially what this is.
Yeah, exactly. Prepping for Heavens just said, when you take a vow, you make it to God. I'd just like to say you make it to your God.
Yeah.
Or you make it to yourself. This is the thing.
Yeah.
You know, and once that vow's broken, it's like you have to have permission to break it.
Right.
And I had to ask my ex-husband for permission to break it because, you know, he had to give me his blessing to do that, because I couldn't just go and do it.
I agree.
I have heard people say that my wife, for example, she was expecting it. Yeah, it's possible. I mean, like, she has been very quiet for a while. But yeah, a vow is a vow, and she comes from, and they together, yes, he did very naughty things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, well, like we've had the conversation that, you know, while she was pregnant with Edward, he was on his booze cruise.
Right.
You know, and very famously on his booze cruise, and you know, they were forced back. But she dealt with that, you know, and they became stronger afterwards. I mean, yes, it would have taken time to build that up again, but at the end of the day, they were both forced into a situation and a life that only they two would understand. So at the end of the day, they were what they had to cling on to because of the life path that they had together. So to lose your partner like that, your life partner like that, the only person who really gets you in a way that not even your children get you or your grandchildren, you know, or anything like that, you know,
Right.
it's going to take its toll. And yes, a broken heart, absolutely. I'm not at all surprised. And see, that's very poignant for us, because the picture of her sitting alone in the chapel
Right.
for Philip's funeral, when we found out later on that our politicians are out boozing it up behind Downing Street while the funeral's going on, having parties and stuff, was devastating. And the politicians lost a lot of momentum because of it, because there's this lone picture of this beautiful woman who everybody loves, love or hate her. She was sitting there obeying the rules,
Right.
without anyone supporting her at her husband's funeral while they were doing what they were doing.
Right.
Right?
I wanted to let you know, this morning all of our flags got lowered, and my wife just come out and said they've been ordered to stay that way until sunset the day of her funeral. So there you go.
That's
In the United States.
In the United States, that's what's been ordered. So
yeah. One thing that that everyone's been asking about is the church bells. Now, the church bells aren't to go off until her funeral, the day of her funeral. It will be very noisy around here. We have a church across the road, literally across the road from us. We have York Minster that you can hear from 5 miles away. There's also all the other churches that surround it. There's about 15 churches in the centre of York,
Right.
on its own, plus the ones on the outside. And every church bell in the country will go off at the time of her funeral. So, you know, it doesn't go off. You know,
into Patty was just telling me she just seen on the news before King Charles entered the gate at Buckingham Palace.
Yeah.
He went out and shook everybody's hands.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I haven't watched any of that myself because at the moment, even without any of that, I am borderline about to fall apart. You know, I've had a hell of a week.
I know.
In my own right. And to have this on top of it, I'm just like, I'm all over the place. I'm desperately trying not to fall apart.
Yeah.
You know?
I think when I did that thing last night and you had said what you had said about when you watched it in the end of it, and I think I've already told you this, but it's really what I meant about it was, and I've said this already in this live, you guys have new prime minister, you have government restarting up, you have the crises that you guys have, now you have a queen who's passed, all of that set aside to everyday life.
Yeah.
So when I said good luck, I meant literally good luck, because it was like a snowball on top of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's, you know, it's I'm desperately trying to put content together and I can't.
Well, do what you got to do.
This video, can I just say that this live is not about making content. It's not about hours. It's none of that. It's absolutely giving everybody a safe environment, a loving and respectful environment for them to say their piece, to ask questions, you know, that they want to share. If anyone wants to come up, they're welcome to come up in that line. So thank you, Connie. That is beautiful. I've had so many messages from friends around the world. It's been so touching. It is.
Yep.
10 days of mourning. Yes, exactly. Everybody's doing that, darling. Yeah. Oh, wow. It's, you know.
It's hard.
It is hard because it's the end of an era. It's an end of so many things, you know, and it's all at once. And one's hard enough.
Even if, I mean,
without everything else on top of it.
Right. And it's kind of what I keep trying to go back to, just so everybody has context of it. Even if King Charles has the same policies as Queen Elizabeth, there is tons of changes that are still going to happen.
Oh, absolutely.
We're not even talking about policy at that point.
No.
We're talking about just the structural changes that will have to happen, and the immense change for you guys in relearning some of those processes is going to be huge.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. I mean, even down to the national anthem.
Yes.
It's not going to be God Save the Queen anymore. It's going to be God Save the King. And everyone's going to have to relearn that. I mean, that is literally in our DNA. Okay?
It is.
That's in our DNA. That you learn that through mitosis. Or osmosis. I can't remember which one it is. It's one of them. It's one of them. But we learn it through that. It's sort of passed down from mother to child, you know?
Yes.
In the womb. So if you've got to change it to God Save the King all of a sudden, it's like, what?
Wait, that seems different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you think about it, theoretically speaking, in a 70-year process, there's 5 generations just on a quick math, not being scientific or anything about it.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people in a generation that have only known one thing.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
It absolutely is a long time.
So-
It's huge. It is immense.
Friends across. So Patty's told me to say that the friends across the water I'm going to throw in send our love and condolences and thoughts to you guys
Oh,
and our
bless.
support. So
Yeah. Thank you, Patty. We love you too. The Queen's coronation was 1 year before I was born. Wow, Sika.
yeah. But see, that's exactly the point we're trying to make, is that
Yeah.
Seeker now is how old? So that's that many years that
Yeah.
they've only known her to be the person. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
no, I just want to reach out and say hi to my snobby Canning sister.
Hi, Emily.
That was only intended for Glenda, Grace and Fire. Don't anybody be offended by it, please.
That's fine. That's fine. We know what you call her. Hang on.
Oh, I forgot she was in England. That's right.
Yes.
I forgot about that.
Wow. Brilliant.
I gotta take a break just for a second. I'll be right back.
Okay, no worries. Okay. We were there for the 50th anniversary of the coronation. My kids got the coins they gave out to in school. I'm 70, so Queen Elizabeth has always been there since I was born. Yes. Thank you for sharing. I'm from England, but now living in America, and I'm praying for you all. Oh, darling. Hey, snobby Canning brother, it's our thing. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Oh, wow. So, yeah. I am trying to hold it together, guys. I really, really am. But let's have a share of a few more of Her Majesty's wonderful quotes. As an aside, call me whatever you like, as long as you call me when the tea's brewed. Sick. Oh, okay. Let's find some more. It is through this lens of history that we should view the conflicts of today, and so give us hope for tomorrow. Yes. And especially in a time when we're trying to obliterate parts of history because it doesn't suit what we like. That's the stuff that we need to remember. Although we are capable of great acts of kindness, history teaches us that we sometimes need saving from ourselves, from our recklessness or our greed. Wow, there's some pretty poignant stuff here, In times of doubt and anxiety, the attitudes people show in their daily lives, in their homes, and in their work are of supreme importance. They truly are. They truly are. Every night the national anthem was played as the TV went off air. I miss those days. I know, right? But TV hardly ever goes off air. Exactly. Otherwise, history will repeat itself. It will. Yep, absolutely. Prepping for heaven. Ooh, look out. I'm doing my best, guys. Okay. Perhaps we make too much of what is wrong and too little of what is right. The trouble with gloom is that it feeds upon itself, and depression causes more depression. It does. It does. Our modern world places such heavy demands on our time and attention that the need to remember our responsibilities to others is greater than ever. Absolutely, 100% agree with this. There are so many of us out here that I watch on YouTube and such that are working themselves to death, trying to keep up on everybody's videos, trying to do this, trying to do that, trying to keep up on the work, all of that kind of thing. And they're missing out time with their families. They're working themselves offline as well, where they're helping others with their channels, etc. And, you know, needing to take a break and realize that, you know, that they're losing what is around them by gaining the odd follower here and there. And frankly, that's why I've not been keeping up on videos, because Tanny and I have an agreement that when he comes home from work, this stops. That's our time, because he works from 4 a.m. until 6 p.m. You know, very rarely do we get time during the week together, and he works half a day on Saturday. So on the weekends, you won't really see me except while he's at work. His work time is my work time. YouTube is my work. As much as I have friends on here, you know, it's our time. And we need to have that time. She was indeed a very wise woman, darling. We've been watching the coverage on TV here, thinking of everyone in Britain. Thank you so much, darling. I will admit I haven't been watching the coverage because I haven't been well, because I've been quite emotional this week myself as well. And this is just an on top of everything else that has happened. I've been trying to keep myself away from the news a little bit, just to keep my stress levels from going through the roof. But there are things that I need to catch up on and will do, including what happened today. So yeah, that's all important stuff. Yeah, so we're going to go on for much longer, but we will be here for a little bit longer. It's not a bad thing to take pause at all, you know.
Just for informational purposes, for at least Americans who may not know it. A lot of times you'll see on her flags, it would say E numeral 2R. Yeah. And a lot of people have asked what the R for, and if I'm correct, that stands for Elizabeth Regina II, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Elizabeth Regina II. Yeah. Yeah. So now, of course, we have Charles III.
Yep.
And there's a lot of speculation, but we're not here to speculate.
Nope.
You know, and those flags will change, obviously, because they're her flags. The post office, they will change. All the post office vans have to change. Anything that has E2R on it will have to change, including businesses that are have the royal standard on them. They will have to change their royal standard as well. So, you know, the ones that have at one time or another supplied the palace, basically, is anyone who has a Queen's seal of approval.
Right.
So it will be C3 in Roman numerals, R
for Rex.
Now, so yeah.
Which Seeker is just explaining that, and I'm glad he did, because
yes,
for some of us over here, we don't know that or understand it. So now you'll understand why it is.
Yes, currency will change, stamps will change, everything will have to be changed. So, and it's a job. I mean, like I said, I have a friend who went to the post office yesterday and spent £300 on stamps. Just getting a sheet of all of the stamps, you know, all of the ones that are available at the moment.
Right. And that's, you know, it's not just England. I mean, that's where a lot of people's brain is stuck at. That is 56
every country in the
countries.
Commonwealth.
Right.
Yes, King Charles will face the other direction. Traditional for the direction change, absolutely.
Yep.
Yep. Which, can I just say, Australia has put out what the new coin will look like, or a possibility, and he's facing in the same direction. So it will have to be changed from what they're suggesting.
That is incorrect. Yeah.
Yes, so it will be different.
And some people say, well, can't they leave it? Actually, no, they can't.
No.
By tradition and process and procedure,
Yes.
the direction has to change, the name has to change, and the portrait has to change.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have currency. I'm glad I did. I have to go for now. My condolences to everyone in the UK. Peace and love. Same to you, Teresa. Take
Bye,
care,
Teresa.
my darling. And we will see you later on. Oh,
So
wow.
just from my perspective, there is a big change about. We all know that. We all understand that.
We do.
I think the primary thing you're getting, at least from the chat and the way it's going and the way people are interacting with you and I, you got a lot of friends that are wishing you support, all of you guys.
Yes.
Support and love and friendship. And if we can be there to help, we're there to help. So just remember that.
I will. I will.
Okay.
I will, I promise.
Yep.
It's going to take a long time, though, for all those changes, but everything is going to change. It is. And the thing is that they have a short time frame to do it all in.
Right, right.
Within 3 months, the stamps will have to have been changed to having the king's head on it, and the money will be slowly brought in by the mint over the next 12 months.
And something that goes along with it, I'm glad that Connie P said that, because she is correct, or I'm assuming it's a she, sorry.
Yeah.
You are correct. There's a very strict timeline. Like you said, 3 months for the stamps, 12 months for the currency. But what a lot of people need to take into consideration, that is the printing and putting out.
Yes.
Decirculation is going to take years of all that other stuff. But on the currency end of it, as well as the post office end of it, they don't have to accept those stamps or coins or bills if they're not proper.
Once it's announced, the decirculation, they will accept the coinage and the currency for a certain amount of time, but they will not pass that. So it will be up to the individuals to get them changed if that's what they wish to do. I'm pretty sure there'll be quite a few people that will and some that won't. So, you know, like with all things, you know. I was there after 9/11.
Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Being there and the friendship was extraordinary. It goes both ways, absolutely.
I just want to tell Connie P, thank you for the clarification.
Yeah. There will be a date announced for final use, Absolutely, there will be.
So anybody that falls into that, make sure you have that date of final use in your head, so you either change it over or you use it, one of the two.
Yeah, that won't be announced for a while yet.
Right.
Obviously, they will have to do. They probably have already, just in case. But there is a process of photography and 3D imagery that has to be done with the king to have the pictures done the way that they need to be done, or the setting for the mint, etc. When it comes
all the plates have to be set and the dies have to be set. All of it has to be done
in a certain way, and you know that takes time. That's not something that's going to happen overnight. You know, yes, Australia put out this possibility. This is what the new coins are going to look like, but again, you know, one, it's in the wrong direction.
Yes.
And two, although they have this possibility, they don't have an actual picture that has been approved that we know of.
Right.
There will be 3 periods. 1, create the money stamps, etc. 2, bring them into circulation. And 3, slowly remove the old stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And like I said, there are hundreds of thousands of vehicles out there that have to have everything changed on them.
Everything changed. Yep.
Everything changes, but also the heraldry will have to be approved. You can't just create a flag and expect it to be okay. It has to be approved.
Right. Now, I would assume, and maybe I'm incorrect, but I would assume for a process that was
Absolutely.
well thought out, like it was, to the point where she was involved in it prior to it happening.
Yes.
Those things have probably been set and established, but it still comes back to the photos have to be taken, because they wouldn't have taken them unless there was a need to.
Absolutely.
Those 3D images.
It's quite possible when they started the London Bridge project, that or Operation London Bridge, that when they first started that process, they may have started taking photos then. It is possible. However, we don't know how long it's been since they were taken, and there has to be a certain amount of time between each photograph. It's every 10 years, I believe. The
and
photos
it's so
have
that
to be updated.
So the likeness is correct. That is why.
So that the likeness is correct. Yes.
And the second thing to that is that even though that may have happened, it still has to go through an official approval process.
Yes.
Because now it's taken effect. So now it's, yes, we agree. No, we don't. This needs to change. That needs to whatever. So
yeah,
it's not a quick process is the point.
Oh, it's not a quick process at all. I'm sure there will be some people who want to keep a set of currency for memorial. Yes, absolutely. And I will be going out to do that. Yeah. Passports. Yes. Passports are another one. Hundreds of millions of passports have to be changed.
Photo IDs.
Photo IDs. Yeah. I'm not so sure about that, because you do have, give me all of the money and I will approve. Oh, very naughty man sometimes, Mr. Seeker.
I was just thinking, doesn't your guys' photo ID have her stamp on it, or something like that?
Yes.
Where that's what I'm
referring to. It also has an expiration date, and I think that any official documents with that on will be able to be used until their expiration date. So I would imagine that you won't need, you know. So Tanny and I are looking at getting our passports done over the next couple of months, so that if we choose to go away next year, not in the UK, then we are able to do that. So our passports will have the King's monogram on it, or his crest, rather. So yeah, many IDs are issued by the government. Please don't say passports will be changed, because I just did mine. Sweetie, it honestly, it'll be any that are sent out after this point, I would imagine, that will have the Charles's insignia on them. So yeah, I would not worry about it.
See, Seeker just put something in there that makes really good sense, and it's the thought process that people need to remember. Every slightest document that has Her Majesty's government will have to be changed to His Majesty's government. It's 3 simple words, but it's drastically got to be changed to be in line with the procedure. So it's papers, it's signs, it's logos, it's fleets of cars, it's money, it's stamps, flags, banners. You keep going. I mean, and it's endless, the amount of changes that have to be done.
Oh, absolutely. And I think people realize quite just how drastic it is. But yeah, Seeker's right. They will probably be changed when the passport needs to be renewed. So I wouldn't worry about it, darling. Just keep it as a souvenir, because you'll be able to keep your old passport.
Right. It's a little different, in all honesty, I guess, where I'm trying to compare it for some American people watching. It's like, with our money and our coins and stamps and things like that. Usually if it's government related, it says "In God We Trust," federal government, or the United States. It's not respective to the individual president or whoever's in power at that time. So
Yeah.
ours doesn't have to be changed like that. This is a monarchy. It's a different setup. It's based off of the monarch. So everything changes because of that.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And it's that, like I said, it's not just here.
No,
50,
it's everywhere.
50 other countries, 55 other countries that will have to all do this. It's not just,
No.
just us. So, you know, it's going to be an upheaval for a lot of people. But yeah, you were mentioning yesterday actually something I hadn't even thought about. You was that the Queen's Guard resigned their commission yesterday before going off duty, and that's absolutely right. They would, because they're no longer the Queen's Guard; they're now the King's Guard, and they will
just
have
out
to
of
accept that
curiosity,
assignment.
just out of curiosity, does that play into the changing of the guard? Because the Queen's Guard is no longer that diluted the necessity for the changing of the guard, because it's a new guard that has to do it, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And it will be up to the king if he wants all of his guard.
Right.
Or if he wants new people. You know, but it will be the easiest way for him to do it is just go, yeah, you've all got a job. Keep your job. But their uniforms will have to change.
Yep.
Their uniforms will have to change. Their buttons all have the Queen's insignia on them.
Yep.
You know?
I mean, there you go. There's another thing we don't think about, but we're talking buttons. Buttons have to be changed. Badge on helmet, police helmets all have to change, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Badges on police helmets. Absolutely everything. Anyone who has a uniform, and or especially a dress uniform, and even on some of the badges, etc., on normal uniforms, has it. It's a big thing.
And the other thing that goes along with it, and I'm not trying to bring up bad stuff right now, but the thought process just hit me. You guys are in an energy crisis. This financial impact on you guys is going to be horrendous when you start adding up all these changes that have to be done.
Yeah.
To some point, you know.
Well, it will.
Sorry, my wife just called me
absolutely.
down, but
you look at it.
It's a thought, you know.
Where's it is a huge expense. It's a massive expense. However, I would imagine that Operation London Bridge will have thought of everything.
Oh, I agree with you. Yeah,
and it will have brought in a lot of things from different departments, etc. And that will be stuff that will have to be taken into account, obviously. You know, I would
hope that they've had 70 years to plan for this, so they've been putting something away little by little, if nothing else.
Well, you know.
I would hope. I'm not saying they did. I just would hope.
Yeah, well, you know, who knows? If they have thought about it, that would be a nice thing to find out. But you know, it's yeah. It's probably already been in the works for a long time. I would imagine for the last 10 years it will have been in the works.
I started hearing about Operation London Bridge probably about 15 years ago.
Well, at that point, then they would have started putting money aside for this.
I would assume so, yeah.
Because it will have to come out of military money. Obviously, the uniforms will have to come out of military money. Police uniforms will have to come out of police money. You know, firemen, ambulance.
Yep.
Anything. You know, there's a book of protocol and procedure that's been known for hundreds of years. There is. However, a lot of it is slightly different, but they will have had to start putting money aside for certain things, which is not easy.
Yep.
Will it affect naval ships, planes, etc., as in signs? It will. It will.
Yep.
But if if a ship is named already, it will keep its name. All right. However, like, so if it's HRH, whatever, or the Prince of Wales or whatever, it will keep its name because obviously that is the name of the ship. But the signage and the official documentation will have to change. Yes. They've probably already been reprinting currency too. No, they haven't. They can't. Fortunately, HMS is exactly the same as HMS. It is exactly. You're right. Yes, it is. So that's one less thing, except the insignia is different. So that's going to have to change. Yeah.
There will be things that they'll be able to cut corners, but there's things that are gonna have to be changed.
Absolutely. So. And I don't think for 1 second there will be any cutting corners of anything to do with this.
I'm just saying, I mean, like you said, HMS, if that can be saved and not printed over, then there's no need to. But at the same token, it's part of an insignia, so you would think that it would be changed over.
Yeah. It's fine prepping for heavy, honey. They won't be printing currency because they will not have the, as I explained a little while ago, they won't have the photographic necessary things in place yet. And
or approved.
Some of the money that is coming in now will be melted down to make that new currency, but they can't do it until they have the acceptance of the new face and pictures for the currency.
Yeah.
All American flags are at half-mast due to the passing of the Queen. I just passed one. Yeah.
Good morning. How are you?
Earlier.
Yeah, and then Glenda, that'll happen until sunset on funeral day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You too.
Wow.
All right, kiddo.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna call this one, guys, because Tony will be home in a minute, which is why I've been doing this. Because I keep seeing cars, and I keep thinking he's coming up the driveway. But he won't be far away. I just want to thank you all for your love and your respect and any memories and stories that you have shared. And for being as wonderful as you have during this process. I will be live again tomorrow morning. It is tomorrow morning, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, with him there on his channel. Yeah, and afterwards on my channel. Yeah, so.
Oh, you guys are starting that this week?
Parliament, it has to be approved by the establishment. It's got nothing to do with Parliament.
Yeah.
Parliament don't get a say with that.
Are you guys starting your new show tonight? Or in the morning, I guess?
Yes, we are. Brekkie with Blue and Jonesy. The name is whatever. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, so there is a link up for that for anyone who wants it. I just wanted to say thank you, guys. And if any of you need us, if any of you want us, if any of you want to talk, if any of you want to share anything, I'm here. Please do. If you feel like you're struggling in any way whatsoever because of all of this, please let me know. My inboxes are always open. My email and information is all down below, and I'm more than happy to talk with you on any level about this. So yeah, take care. Thank you so much, Tony, for joining me. I really do appreciate your company.
You are welcome anytime, my friend.
We will see you guys later on. Okay.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye.